No problem. So, Ashwell, PNG next for you. Bit of a different proposition. Obviously, they've lost their first 2 games here. So, do you see it as being an easier challenge for you?
No, absolutely not. I think PNG obviously will have been really excited about coming to the World Cup and putting in a good performance. And I'm sure they'll be looking for one victory at least before, if it were to be the exit. Obviously, having said that, if they won the game, mathematically, I still think there's a possibility for them to qualify. So absolutely not an easy game. They will be fully respected by the Bangladeshi team.
Great, thanks. So are there any threats that you've identified in the way that PNG play that can cause you problems?
Yeah, we have done our video analysis earlier today on the team. We have a good idea of who the danger players are. They also finished quite strong with the ball yesterday in their match against Scotland at the death overs. So there are areas of their game that they are quite strong at, and obviously that they've done well so far in the competition. We've identified some of their batsmen that can be dangerous. So we've had a good session in terms of doing our analysis on their team.
I think it's fair to say the side hasn't hit full throttle yet. So how has the reaction been within the dressing room to yesterday's win? And do you think that gives you a lot more momentum now leading into tomorrow's game?
Yeah, I think that's spot on in terms of we not at full throttle. We fancied ourselves in the first game to chase 140 against Scotland. They obviously had a fought back well after being 53 for 6, posted a competitive score, and we were disappointed not to get that. But we bounced back nicely yesterday. It was a tough match. I think there was a lot of pressure in terms of playing against the home team, and obviously going out of the competition if we lost the game yesterday. So that was a big result for us. But even so, there are still parts of our performance yesterday that we felt we could have done better at, and hopefully we will improve even tomorrow as we go into the final game.
Great. How are your players coping with the pitch itself and the conditions here? It's been difficult to assess whether it's a good pitch for spinners or fast bowlers. How would you summarise it?
Yeah, I think we played a warm-up game against Oman A, and the pitch really played nicely for the batters. It came on. I think we have to give credit to the bowlers so far in the competition, especially in the power plays. I think in the power plays, the bowlers have been pretty good from all the teams. Nobody has really got off to a flying start in the power plays. So the bowling has been pretty good from all the teams in our group. And then from our perspective, our spinners have been really good. But we got obviously Shakib, one of the most experienced spin bowlers in the world. Mahedi as well. He's come on nicely, and they are skilled bowlers. I think the guys are pretty comfortable with understanding what the surface has to offer. I think we're probably a little bit disappointed in terms of our performance at the moment, rather than the surface not being ideal. I think the surface has been good on both occasions.
Just want to understand, a few of the teams have mentioned that nerves have played a part for them in some of the opening games. Would it be fair to say that Bangladesh have been nervous in the 2 opening fixtures, and do you think there'll be any nerves ahead of tomorrow's game?
I think definitely in the first 2 fixtures there would have been nerves around. Obviously we try and speak to the guys before the game to prepare them as much as possible. At the end of the day, everybody wants to be part of the real thing next week, and Bangladesh coming into this group as the test play nation, you sort of have a target on your back, where the other teams, they come in after you. And we realized that. Obviously, Scotland put in a disciplined bowling and fielding performance. And, fortunately yesterday we got things going. And I think we're getting stronger at the moment.
And a quick nod to the associates. Obviously, there's been a defeat to Scotland. You were run close by Oman. Is this an indication that the gap between full members and associate members is closing, specifically in T20 format?
Yeah, I think particularly in T20 cricket, you only need 3 or 4 guys to have a good game, and anybody can beat anybody. We know that, and therefore, tomorrow's game, we'll pay utmost respect to the opposition, even though they've battled so far in the competition. But we understand that 3 or 4 individuals having a great day can definitely cause an upset. So there won't be sort of any complacency. But to answer the question, absolutely. T20 cricket is the shorter the format, the associate nations obviously become more dangerous, but the quality in the cricket in some of the associate teams as well. Maybe perhaps they don't have a depth in their squads, but I think their best 11s are definitely competitive.
We'll move to the Zoom questions. Ruben, your question, please.
Hi, Prince. How are you? Prince, do you think that Bangladesh have to be more cautious in power batting and fielding? And what equation did you got from your computer analyst about tomorrow's match?
Sorry, just the last part. Can you repeat the last part, please?
The last part is what equation do the team get about the run rate from the computer analyst?
So the first part of the question, we want to do better in the power play, absolutely. At the end of the day, as much as you want to impose your game plan, you also have to respect the bowling team on the day and the opposition. And I think particularly against Oman yesterday, the opening bowlers they were very good. They had some shape on the ball, both the left arm opening bowler and the right arm opening bowler, the big guy. They had some shape on the ball, good discipline. They were aggressive in the field. And so, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter whether it's a world superstar delivering the ball or if it's a lesser known name. When somebody delivers a ball in a good line and length with some shape on it, you have to respect it. So, and I thought the Omani bowlers, especially yesterday, were outstanding. And similarly, Scotland was on during our first game. So as much as we want to get off to a better start, we have to respect the opposition if they're performing well.
And about the equation, the run rate equation about tomorrow's match.
Do in terms of
Yeah, look, we've studied the equation. The margin or the difference at the moment between Scotland, Oman, and Bangladesh is not great. So the run rate, obviously, yesterday's result helped us a bit. We have the equation within us, within the team, and the players know exactly what to do. Unfortunately, we play the first game. The other two teams play the later game tomorrow. So we'll have to do our bit and try and apply the pressure onto Scotland and Oman. But we have a fair idea of what we need to do.
Isam, your question, please.
Ashwell, the question is about Liton Das. Basically, there's been a lot of talk about Liton since he made his debut 6 years ago. Sorry. The players have said that he's probably the most talented batsman in this generation. And then there's been a lot of divided opinions about his batting as well. But I'm talking to you because, I'm asking you because you have worked with him. Where do you think he's lacking at the moment? Because he hasn't had a big score in a little while. I mean, somewhere he batted well, but there has been a bit of a gap. I mean, he did well in one innings in New Zealand, of course. But, in this big occasion, where do you think he's lacking, and where do you think how do you think he can improve?
I think at the moment he just wants to try and get a start. He batted really nicely in the warm-up match, probably about just 2 weeks ago against Oman A. Him and Naeem put on over 100 for the opening wicket in the warm-up game against Oman A team. I think he obviously hasn't had a big score since then. But I think when you kind of labeled as the sort of the best batsman in your generation kind of thing, sometimes it can be a burden, on your shoulders, and perhaps it is. I mean, he's a fantastically talented player, and I think everyone at the moment is kind of waiting for him to burst out and be the player that we know he can be, and I think all of us, everyone in management, not just the batting coach. I mean, all the coaches are, trying to assist him as much as possible in terms of finding the balance between getting his talent basically fulfilled. But we still believe in him and we trust in him. And hopefully there will be a bigger stage in a week's time for him to express himself.
Well, I just wanted to ask you how you as a batting coach will prepare the batsman to, be ready for any position. Because the other day, Russell Domingo said that, batsmen will go out according to the situation or the type of bowler. That's not something that Bangladesh has done in the past too often. I mean, they have stuck to a lineup usually. So, and now, in the last game, we saw that there was a bit of shuffling, and even Shakib said that it's normal for a T20 sort of lineup. But how do you prepare them mentally in these situations?
I think ultimately, if you want to be a big player who goes up against all the other big players of the world, you've got to be able to adapt to any situation. I think adaptability, especially in T20 cricket, is massive. Obviously, if the coach has mentioned to the media that he wants flexibility in the batting lineup, I think every player should be prepared to do that. And we have had these discussions in our team meetings. These days there are so many stats, and you can really filter the stats to have a great idea which batsmen are really good in which type of different situations, which batsmen are good against a ball spinning in, for instance, or against a ball spinning out, against a fast bowler who was a left arm, a fast bowler is a right arm, against a wrist spinner. So you have all these filtered stats, and yes, ultimately the player will have to go into the middle and make his own decisions when he's batting and bowling. So, but I think if the coach wants to be flexible in the lineup, I think he's entitled to do that. And I think we've had 1 or 2 discussions around it, and the players are open. At the end of the day, we have 11 players trying to win a cricket match for Bangladesh, and whoever gets the runs doesn't really matter as long as Bangladesh gets the runs, or we put the runs on the board and then restrict the opposition to less runs than ours. So, which individual it is not as important as the team getting the job done.
And lastly, about Mahdi Hassan's batting. I mean, you guys tried him at number 3 last game, and he's sort of a guy, I think he can bat anywhere, and he's got shots. So I was just wondering what sort of drills you have to do with him, and how confident is he as an individual?
I think if you look at Mahdi, and especially the way he's bowled in this competition, if you watch his body language, and we know that the first 2 matches were pressure matches. Against Scotland, there was a pressure match. yesterday was a pressure match. If you look at his demeanor on the field, he's very calm and he's very confident in his ability and what he's capable of doing. And so, and that also translates into his batting. Yes, obviously the coach have made a decision to put him at number 3, and it doesn't pay off, or it didn't pay off yesterday. But then, in a cricket match, there are a lot of decisions that are made. There are hundreds of decisions that are made, and they don't all pay off. We don't get them all right. The captain has to make a lot of decisions on the field. In team management, the coach, selectors, everybody have to make a lot of decisions, and it's not possible to get them all right. So I think, if we can get an understanding about these things and understand that every decision that everybody makes, we won't get them all right. Hopefully we get more right than we get wrong.